Well, Aaron, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I have to let you go from Weekendology.
Oh, really? I didn't see this one coming.
It's time to move on. It's been a wonderful time having you here, but we found some questionable tweets that you posted a long time ago about some like riding a horse or something, or I don't know.
Wow.
I took a lot of offense to it, mainly because you didn't tag me in the photos.
Oh.
So yeah, it's time. So pack your stuff. Today will be your last day.
I wish that there was just more podcasts to choose from out there that I could go somewhere else.
I mean,
there's just not enough.
There's not enough. So it's time to leave, Aaron. So get out.
I guess I'll have to just take Dave Portnoy's offer then. It's been sitting on my desk for months now, so I just got to take him up on his offer and join the old bar stool.
But it's time to go. So good day to you. I will see you later.
Thanks, Willie Wonka.
I said good day. Get out right now.
I said good day, sir.
I said good day. Happy Friday to all of my weekend warriors. Welcome into
Mine
episode...
Too.
What's that?
They're my weekend warriors too.
It's your weekend warriors as well.
It's mine.
Welcome into everyone's weekend warriors. We're happy to have you for episode number 41 of Weekendology podcast.
Wow.
My name's Will Deichley, alongside my co-host, the one and only Aaron Berg. Aaron, what's up, buddy?
Hey, the one and only.
The one and only.
Yep.
You are here.
All others are imposters. All others are B-E-R-G.
Exactly. They're not the B-U-R-G,
nope.
as you so like to say, or used to say on your Twitter
Burgalicious definitions.
Oh,
Make
dang.
the girls go loco.
Burgalicious. Well, happy to have you in, Burgalicious.
I'm happy to be here.
Exactly. Well,
if you thought I'd swing by.
Well, happy to have you into the Deichley Studios.
Wow.
The Weekendology Studios.
Got a nice setup here.
Exactly. If you don't know what this podcast is about, and you stuck through that horrible intro, then Weekendology is all about the hottest. We should just start over. I'm just totally
no. Keep it rolling.
No, man, I can't.
They know what this is about.
Do they know what it's about?
Yeah, the hottest takes, the best talking points, and the stories to spark your weekend conversations.
There you go. For everything related to all the best topics from music, movies, sports, food, and more, we've got you covered.
Nailed it.
We nailed it.
We're back on track.
Flawless recovery. Nobody saw anything, so
nope.
10 out of 10. We want to thank all of our returning listeners for joining us, and if you are new to the show, welcome. This show is all about changing, improving, and making things better, as we cover all the best topics from around the pop culture and the sports world. As some would call us, the breakers of status quo. So that's in our Twitter profile.
I mean,
we break the status quo.
They give a status quo, we just take a giant hammer to it.
Exactly.
To pieces.
Where we'll break it into a trillion pieces, and that'll be it. So
that's great analysis.
This episode's off to a flying start, wouldn't you say, Aaron?
It sounds like Tim Legler breaking down basketball plays.
I've totally lost my edge now. So for all of you sports and movie and music fans out there, we've got 2 new podcasts created for you to listen to. Weekendology Sports is dedicated to all things sports related, and Weekendology Entertainment is dedicated to all things entertainment related. So check them out. Their handles on Twitter is WKNDOLOGY Sports, Weekendology Sports, and Weekendology Entertainment is at Weekendology ENT. Be sure to follow us on our main Twitter as well at Weekendology Pod and wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're a boomer and don't have Twitter, you can always follow us on Facebook. Keep up with all of our latest episodes, updates,
we love
and
our
more.
Boomers.
We love our boomers.
Boomer Sooner.
Boomer Esiason is in.
Yeah, him too.
Exactly.
Boomer Wells.
Boomer Wells. Anybody else whose name's Boomer.
Chris Berman, a.k.a. Boomer.
The dog named Boomer, too.
Don't know that one.
I don't know. People name their dogs Boomer, so.
Oh, I thought it was like
I don't know.
There's probably a TV show, The Dog Named Boomer.
There probably is, yeah. And make sure, if you listen into this week's episodes, make sure to Spotify, rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen from. It really helps us get noticed. Takes about 5 seconds, so support what you love. Suggest some episode topics. we might even bring you on to the show if you suggest a great episode topic.
We're really opening the door to everything now.
Exactly.
Pulling out all the stops.
Anything is possible with Weekendology
Anything
podcast.
is possible.
As per usual, our sponsor is Lionfish Promotions. So if you or your business are in need of some cool swag, go ahead and visit lionfishpromotions.com. They've got everything from notebooks, cups, mugs, t-shirts, and more to put your own personal logo on them. So if you need anything, there you go. Lionfish has got you covered. Use the code WEEKEND for 10% off of your first purchase as well. And tell them that we sent you.
Swag yourself out.
Swag yourself out. So after that crazy intro, Aaron, how did I do? Do I get to keep my job? Do I?
I'm going to keep you on.
Okay.
You get the trial period.
Cool.
So,
all right. So
90 days.
All right, 90 days.
Yeah, we'll have a full review.
Oh, I got to submit a performance report and a plan and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you got to prove to me that you really want to be here.
Okay. Well, after I fired you already, so this is all fake. So you're fired. So
I just started. This is my podcast. I'm the captain now.
Oh, shoot.
Look at me.
Oh man,
I'm the captain.
You're the captain.
Yeah, so this is my podcast, and now you're interviewing.
Well, at least I'm not getting fired for any of my edgy tweets that I had a long time ago. And
you might have some in there.
No, it's possible.
What about? I was thinking about this today. What about edgy likes? Because Twitter now you can see people's likes, which is the dumbest thing in the world. Like, what if I'm just trying to like something, show a little love to some of our entertainers out there?
I don't know. Yeah, somebody could like something that's not anybody else likes, and be like, whoa, you can't like that, or
if I'm trying to throw our girl Talia a little like here and there, people might not like that, but it's like trying to show some love.
Everybody likes friend of the podcast Talia Paris.
Exactly.
And if you don't, go check out our episode where we interview her, and let us know what you think. Yeah, she's awesome.
That's the thing. I'm trying to show love, little like there.
Exactly.
But I get criticized for it, so I don't like the hate. I'm
criticism is all about today's topic, Aaron. See, like that segue? It's perfect, flawless.
Wow.
We're talking about cancel culture, and if you don't know what cancel culture is, Aaron's going to fill you in. But it's been a...
I am?
You are, Aaron. You just don't know it yet.
Well, do you know where it comes from? Because I do.
Where does it come from, Aaron?
Do you have that in your notes?
I do have it in my notes, but I want to test you to see where it's from.
The movie New Jack City.
That's not in my notes. I didn't know that, actually.
Pulling out all the stops.
Oh, you are educating
Shout out Wesley
me today.
Snipes.
There you go.
Yeah.
For those unfamiliar with the term, cancel culture, also known as call-out culture, describes a form of boycott in which someone is thrust out of like a social or professional circles. It can be online
thrust
or
out.
Social media or real world or both, but it's often to be said as you're canceled. And it's been a huge thing that's kind of ravaging the entertainment industry and a lot of the social media landscape as well. So we thought we might as well discuss it, tackle it, and say what we want.
We're going to cancel culture.
We're canceling cancel culture. That's exactly what's happening. But it's very prevalent for actors who are getting fired for kind of more of like edgy, controversial tweets that they said maybe years back, and they're now resurfacing. And these actors are getting fired or blacklisted from showbiz because of this. And we thought we'd ask the question, is cancel culture ruining the entertainment industry? And try and figure out what we want to change from it. So
I mean, it's not even the entertainment industry. It's everybody now. I mean, it's crazy how widespread it is. You see it with any industry, any celebrities of all levels, politically, sports world, entertainment. It's crazy how it's spread like wildfire, and how quick people are to jump on that bandwagon.
Yeah, it's insane. And I want to first preface this by saying we don't really condone any of the controversial tweets or subject matter. Like,
does anyone? I
mean, that's why they're getting canceled, supposedly. But we're not condoning what they're saying. We're merely arguing or looking at to change the vast frequency in which this is happening, and see if there's a way that we think this can happen without the negative association.
Well, and what I want to know is the whole age-old question: how far is too far? If I'm social media is out there to express yourself. So if you're supposed to express yourself on it, and everyone has my views don't reflect my employer's views, that thing. Like, I understand being smart, and you should be smart, but especially if you're a celebrity, I mean, the point of social media is to get inside their minds, really see what they're thinking, really get to know them on their personal level. So to me, it's like going backwards. This is just my off-the-cuff opinion on this as a whole right away. Why are we using a platform that we're using it to see who they are as people and human beings, but then if they say something we don't like, then we're going to cancel them.
Right,
then we're not going to listen to them anymore. That's why you're on the platform, to see what they're like. If you want them to, conform, per se, or say what you want them to say, then why even look at their stuff? Why even follow them?
Right.
Then just go watch their interviews at that point.
So there's a difference between getting canceled for your show being really bad and getting canceled for something you say or do or something that other people find or deem offensive in certain ways. So, I mean, we could do a whole episode on shows that are getting canceled left and right because they're just really bad in the content themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, look at like NBC or ABC, like all the crappy shows out there.
They just have trial periods pretty much.
Cancel. That's not what we're referring to. The whole cancel culture thing has taken hold in recent years, I think, from a lot of the political and equality movements, from like the Me Too movement. There's a lot of like the Black Lives Matter now as well, which has taken hold of social media, so to speak. So the term has been credited to a lot of like Twitter users, where it has been used as like a hashtag, like hashtag cancel culture or something like that. But I think it's come to light with some of the celebrities who were once so popular, such as Bill Cosby or Michael Jackson or Louis C.K.
Deservedly so with those guys.
Exactly. So,
that bunch.
Obviously those are in agreement that those people should be canceled for it.
But see, with them, that's totally different to me because those were actions that they did and terrible actions.
Yeah.
And they all got proven. I mean, those weren't like weird tweets they sent out. There's a huge difference, and I'm all on board with those guys. I'm good. I loved Bill Cosby as a kid. One of the funniest comedians to me.
I thought he was great. Back then,
I bought the DVDs of the Cosby Show. I loved it. Yeah, I went and saw him live as a kid. He is a great comedian. He really is. But I'm good with never seeing his stuff again. Michael Jackson, after especially the documentaries that they made about what allegedly happened, which I think did happen, I'm good with never listening to his music again. Personally, I don't like when they play his stuff at bars anymore. Because to me, it's like, let's move on. He had his time, but we know what he's really like, and we can move on from him. I'm good with Louis C.K., all these guys. I'm good with just moving on, and, they had their time, but it's hard to support people like that because of those actions. Whereas someone with a tweet that they came out and apologized for, okay, then again, you move on, but why are we still going to punish these people for some off-the-cuff thing they said? Was it stupid? Heck yeah, they shouldn't do it. But or same with the blackface stuff. Jimmy Fallon, Tina Fey, they have that stuff. But we're going to go so far as to say, well, you're a racist and I'm done with you. You don't know what they are. They weren't. It's not like they're sending a million tweets out saying all this bad stuff.
Right. Well, I had those guys were covered in my notes for later, but I agree with you. I think what comes to mind was the James Gunn situation that happened a few years back.
James Gunn.
He had some controversial, fair to say, controversial tweets about 10 years ago that he posted on Twitter.
Even further ago, those were from 2008. I mean, that was when Twitter came out. And the thing too with that, look at his tweets. Go back and look at anyone's tweets from that era. People didn't really understand what Twitter was. They were like, well, is this like Facebook? But I can only have 40 characters? They didn't get it. And so they were tweeting random, literally whatever thoughts came into their head. And a lot of people too, and this goes for everybody. Athletes are doing this, everyone. I'm not saying it was right, and you got to be smarter, but you have to remember you can't take stuff from nowadays and our morals nowadays and how we handle ourselves on social media now and apply it to back then when we didn't really understand what social media was and how it's supposed to be used.
Right, yeah.
That concept didn't go out. So seeing James Gunn's tweets, you shouldn't say stuff like that. However, he was pushing the envelope there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like what he said was...
He's trying to be funny. He's trying to get attention.
Yeah, he was kind of more of like the edgelord type of thing, where it's like, oh, I'm saying these, edgy tweets. Maybe they're not, I guess, condoned or not the best thing to say, but he was fired from his position at Disney a couple years ago, and then he was rehired again because they reassessed. They're like, oh, well, it's actually not that bad. So I think,
they reassessed because they want his money. They want him to make more money.
Yeah. There was another actor, Harley Sawyer, was another actor with the same thing. He had controversial tweets that he tweeted out a few years ago. He's in the CW's The Flash.
Oh, okay.
It's like a syndicated
I know.
superhero show. But a lot of the times, these tweets may not be indicative of who they are as a person overall, and they definitely don't reflect how these people have changed since they've posted these things years back.
And I think, too, that's just kind of how social media has turned into, where people want to convey, like, they want the best of both worlds. They want to act like that's really how they are in real life with social media, but then they want to go back and say, well, no, that's not really how I am when it's something controversial.
Right.
So I think as a culture, we need to pick, well, which is it? Like, is social media how we really are, or is it a personality we're creating?
So yeah, that's the issue that's at hand. Is it doesn't mean what they say is right, but it makes no sense for people on Twitter or social media or wherever to resurface those tweets taken out of context, or if you have a personal vendetta against somebody, to literally try and destroy that person's career.
Think about it. Like, if you told me something 10 years ago and said something mean to me, would I bring that up and be like, hey, remember when you said this mean thing? Like, you're a dick. I mean, it
doesn't make sense.
If I did that to you right now, like in real life, you'd be like, why are you bringing this up?
Exactly.
And then I'm like, well, that shows a lot about your character, Will. You're an ass. Like, it's just like, come on, dude. Like, no one does that.
No.
So why are we doing that on social media, especially with people who... Josh Hader is a big one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
He was like 14 or 15. He said the N-word. Idiot move, really stupid. Should never, ever do that, obviously. He knows that now. I mean, for a fact, he knows not to say that, but we're going to take stuff that he said on social media when he was a teenager, which, guess what? A lot of people say terrible things like that when they're teenagers because they don't understand the world. They don't understand anything. They're stupid.
Yeah,
and we're going to apply it as if he's still doing that today. And we're going to call him a racist and slander him. And it's like, come on, man. Like,
I think there's more of like it's like a cannibalization of social media. Like, you go on social media to have free speech and to go on and voice your opinion and so on and so forth. But when there's people who on social media who call you out and try and limit your whatever you say, or judge you for being a person that you might not necessarily be now as you were back then, it sort of cannibalizes the platform and the whole concept of social media anyway.
Yeah, that's exactly
you're supposed to have free speech on social media. You're supposed to be
what's
able
the point? Especially Twitter.
Yeah.
What's the point then?
And there's this whole Twitter's cancel culture has taken the world by storm recently, with a lot of like the media and entertainment and a lot of the actors and even public figures and celebrities too. They seem to call for their heads for pretty much any kind of tweet that they send out. Look at what Nick Cannon said back in July of this year, or a couple months ago.
Right.
What was deemed as a quote-unquote hateful speech was him just voicing his opinion on a certain subject matter, and somebody deemed it as, well, that's offensive, or that's anti-Semitic or something. But that's a subjective opinion. To others, it might not be that bad. To others, it could just be him voicing his opinion on it.
Well, and that's the thing.
He got fired from his show.
And I think that's the thing that just culturally, especially Americans, what we do is we're going so far as to call someone anti-Semitic or racist or a bigot or whatever these strong word, homophobic, whatever words you want to use that are so strong. And it's like, use these. And I'm really strong in this opinion because I just think you're diluting the actual definition of what a racist is or what a whatever phobe is, and I just think it's wrong. Like, you can't put that title on someone who is saying something that you may not agree with, and maybe isn't the smartest thing, but unless it's by definition, don't use that word to describe them, because you're really, it's getting into slander.
I think it's crazy how Twitter can single-handedly make or break somebody's career.
Oh yeah,
whether it be celebrities or
they're giving them that title. Riley Cooper is another one. He, said the N-word in a video when he was drunk. That is his identity. It's so sad to me because he came out and apologized for that. I'm sure, I don't know this, but I'm sure he donated money as well, and he did a whole apology deal. And you say Riley Cooper, that's the first thing people think of. And this was even before all this cancel culture really blew up. And it was a video, it wasn't like a tweet or anything. But that is what the first thing people think of. Don't think of his career, don't think of him as a good person, whatever. And that's not fair. That's not fair to anybody.
I think it's not. Cancel culture has always been there, in my opinion, but it's only now gained steam because of the shifts in the mindset of where we are as a culture and as like a society too. It seems like anything that you say can be labeled as divisive or offensive or cause for cancellation.
Well, I think too,
which is toxic in its own right too.
Well, because groupthink is such a prevalent thing on Twitter. You have so many people that they see one tweet and they like it or they retweet it, and then more people see that, and then you're getting these people that are just getting on the bandwagon to, that's a good idea, let's cancel it. And they start getting angrier, and it's like an angry mob starts online, when in reality it all started probably as a smaller issue and probably not as emotional, but because 100,000 people liked it or retweeted it or whatever, it built this angry mob virtually.
Right.
And then it turns into, now we got to shut them down, and just these reactions that wasn't the point initially, but the angry mob made it huge.
Yeah, it's not to say that cancel culture is all negative. I mean, there are some positives that stem from it too. I mean, there's a lot of businesses from the movements on there that have now more equal rights for women or more equal rights for minorities and black workers and stuff. So that it does cause some good elements that come from it too.
Well, the Me Too movement, awesome. I mean, look at all the people that got caught. Like Harvey Weinstein and Matt Lauer and all these people, getting exposed and them losing their jobs, definitely. But I just think it's the judging someone else's social media, unless they are just totally rogue and saying just horrible things over and over and over again. That's one thing. Then shut them down. John Taffer, shut it down.
Shut it down.
But if they're doing if they make a tweet, 10 years ago, and it's something that was either something stupid they said one time, or maybe sometimes I've seen people take things the wrong. James Gunn, they took things the wrong way, and they were like, okay, he's making a joke. It's a dirty joke, or it's sketchy or whatever. It's stuff you probably shouldn't say, but he's not saying that seriously. But we're gonna judge him based on our misinterpretation of it.
Yeah, I think a lot of the times it's people bringing up these tweets or these comments or whatever it is. They drudge it up from 10, 15 years or whatever in the past, but they don't have all the facts. It's taken out of context, and it sparks this sort of internet frenzy. Like you said, the groupthink thing, where people are just like, well, happen on the bandwagon. Clearly this person's a terrible person now, and because this person said it.
Well, I just really feel like people they want to conform. People want attention, but they also want to conform and want to think the way everyone else is thinking to an extent. Because some of the stuff that people get mad about, I'm like, does that really upset you? Or is it just because you're like, well, that seems like the right thing to do to be mad? If I'm not upset about it, then maybe I'm on the wrong side and I'm a bad person, so I'm going to support that too and get mad too. And it's like, you're not really that mad about it.
Yeah, I mean, I would feel like most of the time people don't even care if you're actually a racist or like, a bad person by saying these things. They just want to troll you on Twitter and cause controversy and bring things up. And like I said before, I think there's a lot of people deem these things in a subjective nature, but is it really objectively a bad thing to say? Or like you said, it could have just been as a joke, but somebody was like, well, I take offense to that joke. Doesn't mean the whole world has to take offense to it and lose your job.
Why can't people apologize and forgive and forget? I don't understand that either. Like, even if you said something recently and it was bad, Why can't you come out and say, hey, sorry, my bad. Like, that was stupid. Shouldn't have said it. There you go. Move on. Like, especially in our culture today in society, like, we move on from stuff so quickly with, like, news. I mean, think about it. Like, you get so passionate about something that happens in the news. You're into it for 3 days, and then you move on to the next thing. And that's how social media is set up anyway. And I think social media, like I always say, I'm not trying to complain about it and say it's a bad thing for society, but I think it creates these bad elements in our society of thinking that way. So why can't we just think that way with stuff like this, where it's like, all right, good, you apologized, you hopefully you mean it, you know, and then we move on and like prove us wrong.
I wish that's how it worked. Like that would be
why
great.
Can't,
like
why can't
in a utopia?
Why can't people just say that and say, okay, prove me right then that like you're really apologetic. Right. And if they don't say something dumb like that again, then all right.
It seems to be like the cancel culture only affects like the mainstream like media and entertainment, like celebrities and sports figures, like you said earlier too. A lot of the like light of recent events too, with the whole police movement and everything. Cops was canceled. Campus like Live PD was canceled as well.
Live PD, such a great show.
I really like those shows, but now because you have a movement where people are deeming certain things in a negative light, why does that have to be? Like all of the shows related to that have to be canceled. It's not just
it's
police
so extreme.
Related. It can be anything related to a negative thing.
And that's the thing I think is awful to cancel shows like that, because to me, you know, sticking with this topic, especially with like, in my opinion, watching Live PD gave me a better sense of what cops do on a daily basis. Like, I have family members that were police. You know, I have more of insight than I think average people who don't. However, I don't really know what they do day to day. I don't know how each one acts and how they act differently, or, you know, whatever. And that show really showed city by city how some of them were a certain way and maybe over the top. But then there was other ones where it was like, wow, they seem really cool guys.
Yeah, I think it was a good insight into how, you know, certain things were run. And
it debunked
the
stereotypes
of it. It did too. And a lot of the times, for me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But I guess if you're a TV network broadcaster or
it's the PR,
a movie theater,
you know?
Yeah, it's PR. You don't want to have anything associated to anything negative going on, especially in today's day and age where it seems like a lot of things are taken in the wrong way, and everybody cares about the image. And so you have to, you know, like big corporations, they fear that Twitter outrage or that social media backlash, because then it causes them to be like, well, maybe we did do something wrong, or maybe we are supporting the wrong thing. And it's pretty crazy. Like, well, so back to like the point you made about Tina Fey. So like she had a bunch of 30 Rock episodes that were deemed, she had decided to take down because of some sort of blackface comments and jokes. But why? It's only now that they were taken down.
Right.
Why were they not addressed?
Was this not bad 10 years ago?
Yeah. Was it not like the content of the material hasn't changed? If
we've
controversial now, it's most likely controversial back then.
Yeah.
But why is it only brought up when other people are talking about it? Like, why wasn't it brought up initially when it first aired?
Well, we've seen it with like the Redskins, you know, and that whole debate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on board. That was that is an offensive name, you know, but I thought that 15 years ago. I was like, yeah, why don't they change that name? And you know it was because of money, right. But because social media and the angry mob came for them and the PR and all that, then they're like, oh, we got to change this now. Now we really care. And to me, it's so wrong about this, where it turns into you're not doing it because it's right. You're doing it because you want to get on the good side of PR and you want to like come out looking like a good guy. But to me, in my eyes, you're looking like even a worse organization or a worse person. Some part of me
believes that. Then some part of me is like, well, maybe this is the, I guess, spark that causes the change to happen then. So maybe this
they're really taking a second look and be like, oh yeah, actually that is bad.
Yeah, like maybe they...
I don't think so.
Maybe they decided to be like, well, you know, this has been something on our minds for a while. Maybe it was money motivated for them not to change it. But perhaps it's a good thing then to say, well, okay, now that there's political...
But it's not just a second look, though. Like, especially with I think with all this stuff, no matter what, if it's Tina Fey,
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
No, I know, but I find that hard to believe though, because if it were like someone said something 5 years ago and then today they said something again, and then you're like, you know what? Yeah, you said it again. We take a look, another look. Okay, but I'm sure that I don't know about like the Tina Fey stuff, but I'm sure that came up before. Like the Redskins, that's come up like every year. I mean, that's been their team name for 75 years. That's come up probably the last 30 years. I mean, seriously, and it's like that's not a second look. That's like a 20th look.
That's the 30th look.
And to me, it's just like, come on, man. Like,
it astounds me how vastly, like, how quickly people's perceptions have changed about certain
power
things.
Of the hashtag.
It's insane how, even last year it was fine.
Right.
And even up until 2 months ago, it was fine. And then one thing happens and it leads to so many different types of changes and so many different types of like, well, now it's
the Redskins, it took the sponsors pulling out. FedEx was like, we're not going to put our name on the stadium. Then they're like, whoa, now it's really offensive. Like, it really though, like, and that's why I'm not buying it, because it's like, why did you keep it on? They kept it on their social media.
Exactly.
Also, like 3 weeks after they announced it. It's
the same as before. The content was always either inoffensive, or either offensive or inappropriate, but nobody took the action to do it. So why is it happening now as opposed to it should have happened?
And that's where I just think
years ago.
For the change with this, I just think it needs to come down to, if we're going to cancel something as a whole on social media, that's fine, but number one, do it for the right reasons. Don't make it emotional. Like, don't make it so off the cuff, like, oh, we're all doing this. And number two, before you hop on board and hop on the train, especially if you're doing it to an individual, think about it, and think about, is this worth calling someone this a racist or whatever title, and is it worth possibly just ruining their reputation altogether? Because to me, I just, I like sports a lot, so I use Josh Hader as an example. Don't hop on that bandwagon. Don't put that on his career, because that's so detrimental. And to me, for a dumb thing he said when he was 14, he doesn't deserve that. Like, and so I just think that's where the change needs to come from, is more calculated. Okay, if we're gonna cancel this, do it in a more constructive way.
Yeah, look at it more of like an objective sense than more of just
don't just hop on the bandwagon
with your feelings and everything. I think it raises an interesting question as to, for a lot of the content in media and entertainment, like movies and TV shows. Well, if things are deemed now more and more as we go along inappropriate, or things that are you shouldn't be talking about or addressing, will that be affecting what's we're allowed to put in or watch in TV shows, or what's allowed to be filmed, or who deems that to be who deems what it to be like appropriate or not?
Well, I think
without infringing upon free speech or that kind of area.
I think too that the thing is, if you get away from doing some of this stuff, you lose out on the educational value of it, and then lose out on some of these conversations. Like Marilyn Manson's a big one that I look at, where he does a lot of crazy stuff that I know it's an old reference for you kids, but like, he did a lot of crazy stuff where I don't agree with. I thought, wow, that's pushing it, that's over the top or whatever. But you think about it, and it's like, and he always says, he's like, I do stuff to make people think. And you do give it a second thought, and you're like, why is that offensive? Why do I care so much about it? I can still be offended at the end of it, especially when he does like the Christian stuff and the whatever. He does a lot of stuff against religion. My initial gut reaction is like, ooh, I don't like that, But I think more of, why is it offending me? And should I hop on the hate train?
Right.
Or should I take a second look and think, no, it's making me think about it more. And I just think that some of that stuff, a lot of that stuff, I think is healthy. I'm not saying go around and just be super offensive. I mean,
but obviously,
if you keep taking it out,
some of the stuff that James Gunn tweeted or Harley tweeted from the dude from the Flash show or whatever, some of it was really bad.
It's a mistake.
That's objectively not those are objectively inappropriate things. But when you're talking about certain movements or certain opinions on certain things as well, like for instance, the CEO of Goya Foods, he tweeted in support of one of Trump's economic policies.
Good.
Twitter,
so what?
Twitter lost its mind, started a petition to boycott the brand.
Shocking, a CEO.
And people, but people listened to it though. So it wasn't a bad comment since it was just strictly focused on one of the policies of him. Because it was related to Trump, who's often associated with negative emotions and feelings and so on and so forth, that then people are like, well, he supports Trump and all of his, horribleness and everything. So obviously the CEO of Goya Foods must be a bad person. So we're going to boycott that. We're going to boycott the brand.
You can't have an opinion. I mean, and that's the thing that...
Yeah, and that's his opinion.
I just think is so dangerous. I'm going to go on record. I'm not a Trump supporter one bit. I'm not.
No, that's a good thing.
And but if people are, that's perfectly fine. And that's, to me, it's so dangerous if we continue that, where these masses you support this person that I don't support, I'm gonna boycott you. Really? Why?
Having an opinion on it, even if the opinion is quote unquote wrong in your opinion.
Because why does that affect you? I remember people also were cancel Wendy's, we can't eat there anymore, they support Trump. First of all, they're a big business.
Right.
Of course they're gonna support more candidates like that, whether it's Trump or whoever, more right-wing, I should say, candidates.
I'm sure they don't support all of the negative things that are associated with
Even
him.
If they did, so what? Is it going to make my spicy nugs taste worse? Who cares?
Spicy nugs.
I just think, it doesn't matter.
Spicy nugs are canceled, Aaron.
You can never cancel spicy nugs.
Canceled.
Oh, so
Get
good.
it off.
So good.
Well,
we should be sponsored by Wendy's.
We should, yeah.
We won't cancel them.
No, we won't cancel Snugs.
But I just think that's such a bad way of thinking, where we're going to go so far to cancel, or whatever you want to call it, these especially businesses, or people, for their opinions. And it's if you're saying Nazi stuff or things that are going to hurt people, that's one thing. But if you're going to support a certain party, that I might agree or not agree with, that doesn't affect anybody.
That's an opinion,
and that's the joy of America, and that's the joy of social media. So we can see your opinions, dumb or not dumb, and have a conversation.
Exactly. And I think, ScarJo was another one. My girl Scarlett Johansson.
Overrated.
She made some comments that received some backlash a couple months ago about discussing actors playing characters of other races or genders or sexual orientations.
Yeah, that's a big thing too.
She said, I should be allowed to play any person or animal or tree or whatever I want. That's a weird comment.
Was she playing Groot next? Tree?
But it sparked a ton of criticism on social media about privilege and appropriation and all that kind of stuff. And take with however you want it, but I think she has the freedom to say that, and she also has the freedom to be why should I be pigeonholed for playing a certain type of character? Why shouldn't I be able to play anybody I want?
And to me, instead of canceling, just don't watch them. Watch her movies?
Why is it deemed racist?
I don't think she's that attractive. I don't watch her movies then.
Yeah. Whoa! Let's not go too far there. So
one of the most overrated actors, her and Emily Ratajkowski.
Oh, don't
most
even
overrated
start.
Women.
Scarlett Johansson is amazing. So
I'm not seeing it.
Oh well, I'm sorry you feel that way.
She's no Carrie Underwood.
You're canceled now, Aaron. You've been canceled for that. I don't agree with your opinion, so
I'm canceling you.
I can't believe that, but I don't know if you remember who James Charles is.
Hey, sisters.
Yeah, so he's the beauty vlogger that was on YouTube for a long time. But he lost 3 million subscribers on YouTube for some sort of private spat with a friend that he had. But the friend made it public and made accusations of James being fake and using her and being a sellout and so on and so forth. So people took that as literal gospel and canceled James Charles. He lost 3 million subscribers in a week or whatever. He lost a lot of his sponsorships and endorsement deals and stuff too. So over one person's opinion
and a private conversation. Maybe it wasn't the right thing to do, and I'm not defending if he did or did not do those things, but it's not right to take things as fact when one person says that. And that's the thing too. It brings a good point. You're saying that because I think of like the Donald Sterling fiasco back in 2014.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I'm so 50-50 on that because on one hand, he's a terrible person. And people knew that.
Yeah.
And he was getting away with it.
He knew, that's...
And then it brought to light...
It's not news.
Right. But, like, it brought to light on a huge scale. And I think that's when cancel culture really started. I mean, he lost his job. Like, he was forced to sell the team because of that. Which, on one hand, I think that's great. That's a really good thing.
I think it's justified, yeah.
However, is it justified, though, for that one instance? Because that was private. He was secretly taped. And to me, it's like, that's why I just have a tough time with, I'm not condoning anything he said, obviously.
Right, yeah.
It's terrible, the things he said. However, you could say those things.
Is it fair to lose a job for a private conversation when you have
a private conversation, too, that, I'm not saying he did or didn't, but, like, could be misconstrued, could be taken the wrong way, could be, like, is that what he meant? Because he was having a private conversation that we were like a fly on the wall to, as the general public. That also, we might not even have heard the whole conversation.
That's true.
Or maybe he was saying it, off the cuff, and he really doesn't feel that way. He just felt, like saying something stupid that day. I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying that.
I know what you're saying, though. Like,
but
I think it raises an interesting question.
That's what's tough.
Too. How do you determine who is big enough to get canceled and who is not big enough to get canceled?
And what cancels, like a private conversation? Can we cancel someone for that? Like,
exactly. So there's been times where people have been too big to cancel, like Jimmy Fallon, like you said earlier. He was at the epicenter of some backlash where he made some blackface comments and jokes a while back. He apologized for them, even though everybody's apologized most of the time for whatever comments they've made. But he's not canceled. He still has his show on. He still, sells out all his stuff, gets endorsements and stuff, and he's fine. Same with Kanye West too. He supports Trump openly, which
he's not supporting him anymore.
I couldn't tell you why. Well, at the time he did, but he didn't get canceled. He didn't lose any of his record sales, or if he did, it was just a minor dent in whatever sales he had. So it's not like he's hurting for anything.
I like how he hated George Bush so much, but he loved Donald Trump. It's like, what?
Yeah, that didn't really... Well,
I mean, it's Kanye West.
Maybe Kanye wasn't the best example.
I'm not going to analyze him too much because he's Kanye and like...
He's a little strange, yeah.
He also can do whatever he wants because he's like a billionaire now. So.
One of the ones back in 2014 was the Cancel Colbert hashtag that was going around from Suey Parks. That was like back in 2014 or something. It was a controversial tweet that he had, or a satirical tweet over, the Colbert Report.
Because that's his humor.
Yeah, that's his humor. That's just how he is. But Colbert is fine. He remained very much uncanceled, and I don't think that was one that was probably taken way out of context, and maybe he shouldn't have.
Comedians are number one. I think you can totally take stuff out of context because that's their job.
The SNL guy was fired. What was his name? I had him in the notes too.
But I just think,
Shane Gillis. He was fired a couple years ago because of some.
And this is something
tweets.
I want to bring eventually. I want to get a comedian on one of these episodes and talk to him about this because. To me, this is really what's already hurt comedy and what will continue to really tear comedy apart, where we're going to get so bent out of shape about people who are literally paid to make us laugh by pushing the envelope, and people who we know, like Daniel Tosh.
Tosh has had some pretty controversial stuff. So.
And I wouldn't go as far as say he's been canceled, but he's basically been canceled because you don't really see him
What
anymore.
about like Chris Rock or something? Like I went to some of his shows and he's said some really
said racist stuff.
Yeah,
I'm just
racist
say
stuff.
It right now. He has.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's a weird kind of thing to address because
we pick and choose who we want to cancel.
Fine.
Right, and that's the thing. We pick and choose, and a lot of it to me doesn't make any sense. Like I said before, I think it's a product of people, whoever we want to jump on the bandwagon and the timing. And if it's good timing to jump on a bandwagon, we'll jump on it and cancel them. And, Andrew Dice Clay is another one. You never see stuff from him, and that ruined his career.
What did he say?
He had some. I don't remember off the top of my head. But I know.
Who is he though?
He's a comedian,
okay.
Stand-up comedian. Yeah, he said some pretty bad stuff. Just multiple times, and it really tore it apart because we got into the era of, well, let's think about what these guys are saying now. But that was his humor. His sense of humor was like cringe and like, whoa, can't believe he was like Daniel Tosh before Tosh,
right? Yeah,
basically, and like I said, I don't remember the exact thing he said, but I remember it being pretty bad. However, we can't go so far, especially in talking about comedians right now. You can't do that because that's going to tear apart the industry, and it's just not going to make things funny.
Yeah, I think it raises a question: we
can't take things so seriously.
There's a lot of hypocrisy that goes with it too. Like you can't say, "Oh, we're canceling this person for this thing," but the same person does the same thing, but we're not doing it for them.
Right.
We're not calling for their heads on social media or boycotting their.
If you're going to say something's wrong, it's wrong across the board.
Exactly, and so that's the point we're trying to make: is that it has to be uniform across everything. And if you bring up a tweet from 10 years ago versus 10 minutes ago, the content still doesn't change. If I say a racist tweet, it's still racist, but at one time it's deemed okay, and then another time it's deemed not okay. So why you should be talking about it from minute one instead of 10 years later.
And I just think too, like I said before, if they're owning up to their mistake and doing the apology and it's heartfelt, whether we know I guess we'll never know if it really is heartfelt, but if they're making a true apology, people need to take it for what it's worth. Say, hey, yep, that was stupid, or hey, you pushed it too far. Especially with comedians, I'm not going to say, comedians should be able to say whatever jokes they want, but if you say a joke and it pisses people off, say, hey, sorry. But, I just think, to me, instead of canceling people, just don't watch them. Don't go to their shows. Don't watch their specials. That's what I do.
Yeah, just don't support them. But I think it's going to cause a lot of things for networks and for movies and stuff for going forward where they're going to have to be extremely careful.
I just think we need to get rid of this culture of pulling out because of PR. To me, it's wrong because, like I said, people are smarter than these networks and companies think. They know you're pulling out because of money. So to me, at the end of the day, you're not really looking good. You're looking like money just matters.
To me, most of the time that's how it is.
Drop people for the heartfelt reasons, not it looks bad and they have a bad thing associated with them, so we're out. Yeah. But then you go back on board.
But I mean, like I said before, it does do some good too. I mean, it has allowed people to organize more comprehensively and react a little bit quicker. It
starts conversations.
Yeah, right? Changes are happening all across the board that need to be happening within the police departments or universities or schools or any kind of, system within and of itself. It's causing some good changes too, which those are the reasons why those are the positives that come out of it.
Yeah.
And
that's what I think it should be. The culture of taking another look is good and a good change that's happening, and I fully support that. It's to go so far as to cancel it, be done with it, end it. That's too far. Let's start a conversation, but then with the conversation, analyze, okay, is change going to happen? James Gunn. Is change going to happen? Is he remorseful? Is he going to take this to go further? Yes, he's good. He can keep directing.
He doesn't post those anymore.
Right,
now, whether he holds those sentiments privately still, or if he's actually changed.
That's my point. But we analyze. It started a conversation into how should we use social media. It started a conversation into what are his thoughts? What's his deal here? We looked at it as a public. We realized, all right, no, he's good. That was, he admitted it was wrong, blah, blah, blah. Continue on with his career. He's still good. He didn't lose his job. He isn't deemed a pedophile or whatever you want to call him for the rest of his life. To me, that whole situation is how it should go, minus Disney dropping him right away because that was...
But they just rehired him back again. So.
Right, and to me, that the change with that should have been, instead of dropping him, They shouldn't have dropped him, but still analyzed and still kept him on board, but worked with him on that.
Yeah, I agree. And for me, I mean, cancel culture does nothing more than just stoke the fire of fear, so to speak. I mean, I think we have bigger things to worry about than analyzing some person's tweet and saying, well, this person's career should be over for
when analyzing if these people are good people or not. You don't know them. Like that's a thing. Like you don't know them. You don't know what their real opinions are.
Social media is a great way to mask your identity in every which way. So there's no way you can truly get to know somebody over a couple tweets or one bad thing here and there,
right? In
my opinion.
Yeah. So. No, I to me, people need multiple chances here where we all say dumb stuff. We all say things that could be taken out of context. Or we all say stuff that we wish we would have taken back.
Yeah, absolutely.
And especially different times of our lives where maybe we didn't understand something as much. Maybe we didn't know how hurtful it could be to different groups of people. We've all done it. And so I just think take that into consideration when you're looking at these other people who are doing it and give them another chance to redeem themselves. If they're doing it over and over and over again,
right?
Yeah, then you can be like, no,
and objectively, there are some bad things to say, and then when you're like, okay, well, yeah,
and then don't
support
support them,
but for that.
But don't. To me, I'll go back to where we started, the Bill Cosby stuff. I will stop supporting them, totally, but we don't need to get on this train of everyone needs to stop supporting them. Like, just. You do you stop and then let everyone else make that
and I think,
call.
Now people shouldn't be afraid of posting their opinions online or, voicing their opinions of change for fear of losing a job or for fear of, being politically backlashed or social media, calling for their heads or something. Like they should not have that sentiment of fear and should be able to just say what they want to say without that. And then obviously don't be dumb and say crazy, stupid things, of anti-Semitism or racism or Nazi-like stuff, but those are objectively
Nazi
bad.
tweets are never good.
No, those are never good. But the topic is way deeper than what we were able to go into here. But I think it's good.
It's deeper, and there's like so many different. We could pick out one industry and do it on one, and then another industry and do it on that one. It's crazy.
Yeah, but if you liked what we talked about in this episode, we would love to hear what your guys' thoughts are on the conversation topic too. Hit us up on Twitter, on YouTube, and social media to let us know what your thoughts are. Is cancel culture ruining Hollywood and the entertainment industry? Has it gone too far, or is it just getting started? Where do you stand on the topic? Check us out on Twitter at Weekendology Pod. Follow us on Weekendology Sports. We're on Weekendology Entertainment. We're on YouTube at Weekendology Podcast. For all the boomers out there, check us out on our Facebook page too. Just search Weekendology Podcast. Check out our last episode on Apple Podcasts where we talk about the most overused movie cliches and movie tropes. That was a pretty fun one. I had a good time.
The word trope.
Yeah, trope.
I didn't know that one until the episode. So.
See, we're all about educating and teaching everybody new things at Weekendology.
Want to learn more vocabulary? Tune in.
Exactly, and I promise I'll do a better job of the intro next time.
I'm disappointed.
I'm
you have
fired.
a lot to prove next episode.
I do have a lot. It's the redemption episode.
Better study up.
Redemption next time, so I'll make sure to read the notes a little bit better. Check out the Big Red World. They're on Twitter at Big Red Social, and their website is bigredworld.org. Don't forget to check out our sponsor, Lionfish Promotions, for all of your promotional gear. Use the code WEEKEND for 10% off of your first purchase. They're on lionfishpromotions.com. Do you got any closing remarks before we stop this one?
Yeah, if you're a comedian, hit us up. We want to have you on an episode and talk about what we just talked about. We would love to talk about the changes in comedy and how you're adapting to it. And so just hit us up and
up
let us
and coming
know.
Comedians, anybody in the entertainment industry, we'd love to have you on.
Yeah,
be awesome to hear your opinions on everything. And you can tell us some jokes, and I don't know.
We will make you tell a joke because we know comedians love saying that when they meet people. Hey, tell me a joke. You're a comedian. Tell us a joke.
You're not even funny.
If I was a comedian, I would have like just the stupidest knock-knock joke in my arsenal, just so whenever someone can say that, just spout it off every time. Because I know I'm going to get that question and be frustrated about it. So I'm like, all right, knock, knock. And then there you go. I just told
We'll start the episode off with a joke next time then. So See, I'm laughing about the joke. I already got a
joke.
joke in mind, and now I'm already laughing about it. So next episode is going to start off hot.
I really feel for comedians, man. That would suck if you were. That's like, well, you're a sales guy. Sell me something. Sell me this pen. That'd be like if someone did that to you every time.
Hate that. Yeah.
I know. That would be brutal if you're a comedian. Be
it's
like,
the worst.
Hey, Johnny, here's a comedian. Hey, man, tell us a joke. Like, come on, man. Especially you go to stand up.
Yeah.
It's not like that anymore. It's not like they sit and they're like, joke number 1, knock knock, who's there? This is my joke. It's like 10-minute stories, and that's the joke.
Exactly.
So it's like you can't just say, "Tell me a joke." I rest my case.
We would love to have a comedian on for an episode or two, so hit us up if you are a budding, aspiring, comical person.
If you just think you're funny, we'll take you.
Clearly, I'm not funny, so... But make sure to rate us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Really appreciate the support. We're on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Google Play, wherever you listen to podcasts. We've got new episodes premiering every Friday, so until next time, enjoy the weekend, everybody.